So in one of the previous videos, I was talking about system roles. And that's all very nice, I'm talking about manager and course creator and that, but what do they actually do? I don't actually know what they do. So, and you want to find out. You might also want to find out, well, what other roles do you actually have available to you out of the box in your Moodle system? Do you need to create any new roles, or do you need to maybe customize or further tweak the roles that you already have there? So let's take a look, not just about assigning people into those sort of roles, but let's have a look at, well, what are those roles that actually exist within the system? So to take you where I'm sitting now, I'm sitting in the Site Administration tab. So expand my Administration drop down in the left-hand menu bar into Site Administration down the bottom there, and it brings me to here. I'm going to click on the Users tab, so the second one along, and I'm going to scroll down to Permissions again. Now this time I'm going to select the third option down, which is actually called Define Roles. And we'll click on that and open up the Define Roles page. Now this particular page gives me a list of all the roles that are available within my system. The only thing that's missing is Site Administration. Now the reason why Site Admin is missing is because there's no customizations around that role. They have access to everything. There's open access to everything, and we can't turn any of it off. A Site Administrator has everything. Everybody else though, the roles are actually listed here. So you can see those roles that I was talking about in one of my earlier videos, our other site-wide role, our other system roles. So that is the manager role and the course creator role, and they're listed there. Then I also have a lot of other roles. So out of the box, we come down to basically about here, which is then our roles which are generally assigned to people within a course. So at a course level, we assign the role of a teacher, a non-editing teacher, and a student. We also have the ability to have guests, and we talked about that when we looked at the authentication section of our onboarding. So we have the ability to have people log into our system as a guest, but also log into some of our courses as a guest. And then lastly, one of the main ones out of the box there is the authenticated user, which is what basically everybody is when they first log into the system. So what does a course creator have? What permissions do they have, for example? Simply come along here, and under the role, you can click on any of these role names for it to bring up a view of the definition of that particular role. So it's going to show me now through here what is actually allowed for that course creator role. So I can have a look through here, and I can see based off all the different headings that we have here about what they are allowed to do. So it's not showing me things it's not showing me all the options that are available to this particular, or to a particular role. It's just showing me all the things that this role can do. So as you can see, there's lots and lots of allows here through this list. All these things is what a course creator can do. So it's a great way to come in here and go, well, you know what can they actually do? Do I need to tweak it, or should I just leave it as it is? As a general rule of thumb, I probably find maybe 90% of our customers are happy with the default roles that Moodle has, and they just use them what's out of the box. Some people do have very specific requirements, and they might want to tweak the course creator role. Or in other cases, a lot of cases, we recommend to people just to create some new roles that might be specific to you. So you still have those standard Moodle roles, so that if you are looking through any documentation or anything like that, you still have those original roles, but maybe you create some extras. So you might have another administrator level that doesn't have the full access of a site admin, but has a little bit more than a manager. Some companies in business, they might have an auditor role, for example, and that might be someone who can look through and access every single course, but can't actually mess with any of the content, can't actually get into a user's grades or something like that. And therefore, we might need to set that up specifically through a role there. Now, at this level, not only could we view what permissions the user had by looking down the left-hand side here, but we can also edit the permissions that they have. So we could add some additional permissions to that person. So let's just say we had a look at our non-editing teacher here, and I wanted to edit their profile and edit their roles. I could go across to the right-hand side and click on my standard Moodle edit icon, which is the cog icon. So if I click the cog that is associated with the non-editing teacher, this will now take me into a fairly similar screen to the preview mode, but what this actually allows me to do, you'll see here, is that I now have the ability to check the boxes. So it's not just telling me that these are the things that are allowed. This is now every single permission that you can turn on within Moodle. So you can see there's the things that this role already has turned on. Now my scroll bar in this is tiny. There's probably about 500 things that you can actually turn on and off, and you can customize. I'm not even halfway through the list after all that scrolling I've done so far. One thing that I do recommend people do is to use Control F if you're on Windows or Command F if you're on a Mac. And basically what that allows you to do is it searches a web page for you. So it brings up a little search box on your web page and allows you to type in the keywords that you're looking for. So instead of having to scroll through 500 lines of permissions to find the one that you're after, you might just type in Control F, so find on the page and type in the word users. Now that might restrict that list down to only 30 available options. So now if you're trying to figure out what sort of permissions around users you have and that you can set, now you only have 30 options to go through instead of 500. So that can be really, really helpful. Once you have finished making any of those edits to a role or changes to a role, you can then come back up to the top or down to the very, very bottom and click Save Changes. And that will now save those changes to that role. I'm just going to click cancel in this case because we'll keep them as is. And this then just brings me back to my normal user screen here, my role screen. Now the last thing I just wanted to touch on in this particular video is just the short name of the role. If you have a look at the other videos within this onboarding series, we do talk about bulk uploading. The short name when we bulk upload is actually the name of the roles that you're wanting to associate with. So just one little trap that some people do get caught out with in Moodle is the short name for the teacher role is called editing teacher, and the short name for the non-editing teacher is called just teacher, just simply teacher. So it's just something just to be mindful of. Once again, it's something you can change at any point in time just by doing the edit icon that we just did, but at least you just know how that works and how that behaves. If you want to know more about how the meaning behind the short name and what its relevance is, it really comes into play when we're looking at bulk uploading users. So if you want to find out a bit more about that, go and find the bulk uploading users video in the onboarding course and have a bit more of an explore about what is actually involved with that.